Alright, so today I thought I'd do something a little bit more fun. I wanted to look at what I think the future is actually going to look like. Like these are not just predictions I think, that come out of nowhere. This is actually based in real engineering, real world understandings of what is going on. And with AI tools, I know it's cliche at this point, but there's so much more that we can do. So the first thing I want to talk about is what does the future of work look like? So now that the AI, I was thinking about this. Now that the AI can basically create whole circuit boards, create entire CAD models. So what that means is it can do electrical engineering work, it can do mechanical engineering work, and it can order all these parts. Create a whole list, a whole spreadsheet of all the parts that you need to build a project. As long as you have enough compute, the limitations with AI are incredible. And so, what does that leave the human to do, right? So, if AI can essentially just do all the engineering work, do all the nitty gritty understanding of the material science, with the batteries and how parts interact and how materials interact, the human is left to do two things: design and collaborate with other people. And I think this is just incredible. Like, the amount of things that we're going to be able to do in the future now that logistics and finance and laws and regulations are all summarized and automated, it's going to be incredible. And so with that in mind, so what I think is going to happen, at least within the next 5 years, is that 30% of all EVs, San Francisco is already the hub of Waymos and Zoox, right? So you're going to see so many just robotaxis just going around the street. You're even going to see, I think, humanoid robots walking around. I think China has a lot. U.S. also has a huge amount of robotic startups. So humanoid robots, even just general robots of all shapes and sizes, I think will walk around the Bay Area. We're gonna see solar cars, so I think that is really cool. Imagine just never having to charge your car. Like you just leave it outside, and it's always has energy. That's like when, that's amazing. I also think that we're gonna see a lot more AI automating everything in our life. So we're no longer going to have to make decisions about when to go to the grocery store or what to eat for dinner or events to socialize in. Like the AI is just going to decide all that for us. You're just going to give it a list of your interests, a list of things you like to do, and then it's all going to decide for you. In the next 10 years after, so that's the 2030s, obviously with Elon Musk, you're going to have Mars and moon bases, which is crazy because we're going to have people designing what the bases look like, how it's powered, the scientific research we're going to conduct. Obviously, the ISS, we're shutting that down now. I think we're going to replace that as soon as we have more rockets flying. As for the water crisis, not only in California, but I think with Super El Nino and a lot of the climate disasters happening, we're going to have a lot more water reuse around the world. So we're going to see more water startups, a lot more energy startups, vertical farming technologies being integrated. Especially with how I feel like we're too dependent on the weather and climate, and especially with all these wildfires and vertical farming. Just we can control all the factors. So I think that's another thing. Nuclear fission, right? So I think only developed countries will, use nuclear fission because we can't really trust undeveloped countries with nuclear technologies. But at least in the United States, it's going to power a lot of building buildings, so a lot of robotics, really large scale robotics for building the skyscrapers. So we're going to have robots literally building skyscrapers, flying cars. This is something that we've talked about as a society for like a century now, and it hasn't happened. I think it's finally going to happen. We have so much advancements in battery technology and power electronics. It's probably going to happen. And then finally, hybrid democracy. So now that robots are automating everything, what does that leave the human with, right? And that essentially leaves us to collaborate on a very large scale. So making decisions using interfaces on our phones, talking to the AI to make decisions as a society. I think that's going to happen as a shift to a world where everybody gets to make decisions. And it's going to be very messy because I'm not sure exactly how ownership and property rights are going to work, but we'll see something like that. Okay, so as you guys know, solar cars are racing. People at universities build solar cars and they race them. So this is already where we're at right now. We've already been doing it for 30 years. The next stage, this is actually a company called Aptera, are making real solar cars. I mean, just look at this car. It looks like something straight out of a sci-fi novel, a sci-fi science fiction movie. It looks so cool in my opinion, and you never have to gas it up, never have to charge it. This is really close. As you know, Zoox in San Francisco is very famous, run by Jeff Bezos, Amazon. We're going to see more of these, in my opinion, not only in San Francisco, all over different cities around the world, and that's really cool. Just no driver, that's amazing. This is another example of, it looks like a woman's getting off a transit ride. I like how the building in the background is still old. The building looks like it's like at least 75 years old, and you have this hyper futuristic looking transit vehicle right next to it. Like that's so cool. Haptic visors. So like I was talking about, Meta, Apple are currently working on this. It didn't really kick off. Google Glasses look too weird. Who knows if people think haptic visors are gonna look weird. I think it'd be cool if the AI had automated like your maps of telling you where to go. You just get on some sort of electric scooter and the AI just tells you exactly how to navigate through the streets. It'll tell you your calendar, your notifications. It'll tell you everything. You don't even need to check your phone, and that's pretty incredible if you ask me. You're gonna have more robots doing manual tasks. In the next few years, at least, it's gonna be too expensive. But as the price goes down, we're gonna see more robots just doing tasks that we don't want to do. Hopefully, we're not gonna end up in a situation like Wall-E, where we're just all like fat and we don't do anything anymore because the robots do it all. That's worst case scenario though. Hopefully the robots will tell us to do exercise. Again, this is another robot walking around a city. I think we're going to see a lot more in 10 years from now, or even 5. Flying cars. Okay. The thing is, I want to make a distinction between a plane and a flying car. Planes look like planes. They have wings and they have fans that circle, and it looks like a plane. That's not a flying car. I've seen a lot of flying car quote unquote startups that like to use marketing and say how their plane is a flying car. It's not, right? So right now, Joby Aviation, Archer Aviation, their marketing isn't flying cars. Those are not flying cars. The real flying car startups look like Alef and Pivotal, where they look like this, a real flying car. And when I say flying car, it's got to look like something like this, where it looks futuristic. You cannot have a plane be marketed as a flying car, or else you're going to have Boeing developing another 747 and calling it a flying car. Like, you can't do that. Oklo. So Oklo is, I think, one of the coolest nuclear fission startups. A lot of nuclear fission startups like, putting their thing in a box where it's self-regulating, like a cargo ship container, and then that's where the energy is going to come from. Oklo does something right, where I think they put in these very nice buildings, buildings that you'd want to go to, buildings that, could be integrated into a city. They do that right. I think the future of at least skyscrapers is biophilic, which means love of nature. So it's going to look very nice, maybe wooden, maybe integrating plants, using materials of the future, essentially. And, okay, so this is really cool. This is vertical farming. So you're going to have a whole row of stack of vertical farming technologies, and this could be anywhere. This could be California, Iowa. We're gonna see more of this, and it's gonna be a lot more productive use of land, right? If you don't use just one parcel of land, you use maybe 5 times. You get 5 times the output by vertical farming, and it'll look like something like this. This is from Dyson. It's circular, and I was thinking you could probably put a robot on the middle bar, just like managing the plants, watering them, performing sensory analysis. Like, there's so many things you could do if it's circular, and I think Dyson is genius for doing this. You rotate it for light, rotate it for water, nutrients, etc. Oh yeah, so here's a robot currently cleaning the windows. In the future, I think they're gonna actually start building the skyscrapers. You're not gonna just see them cleaning the windows. This is just the beginning. Just think about it. Like, can you imagine the skyscrapers that we're going to build and what they're going to look like as soon as robots become advanced, and we're going to, as soon as innovation takes off? That's incredible. I know this is kind of on a side tangent, but if we have a tool that can connect university research to industry on a hyperline, a hyper skyway, that would be incredible. Industry research immediately university research immediately to industry. That's going to be a game changer. Flying cars. This is pulled from the Alef website. I think we're going to have sky freeways in 10 years from now. We're probably not going to have high-speed rails in the near future just because we have property rights in this country. This is pulled from Star Trek. I love San Francisco. San Francisco is probably my favorite city in the world. The skyline's going to change for sure. For some reason, I don't know why they don't have flying cars. We're going to have flying cars probably in the skyline. Very advanced buildings, robots building the cities up. A lot of greenery, I hope, and different ways that we dress. As you guys know, Star Trek is the pioneering image for what we look like in the future. This is another Star Trek. This is from Star Trek Into Darkness. So you see there's robo-taxis. That's Khan running. But you have robo-taxis running. You have the old... It's interesting. You see that old building... transit. That would be 300 years old in 2200, which is when Star Trek takes place. So you have all these hyper-advanced buildings along with the old buildings, and you have all these robo-taxis along with the old cars. And then it's fascinating how people dress. Here's another image of San Francisco from Star Trek Into Darkness. Obviously, you have more hyper-futuristic buildings in the background, and hopefully this building survives. I really hope it does. This is from Tomorrowland. And when I talk about next-generation skyscrapers that robots are able to build, I mean something like this, where it's just completely things that we never imagined could have been done before. Hopefully we'll have jetpacks. This is a couple guys in jetpacks. But yeah, next-gen skyscrapers. We can go crazy with the kinds of architecture that we design at this point. Obviously, we still need to understand laws of physics. These do not violate the laws of physics, though. So we just go crazy with what we can develop. And this is finally the last image from Star Trek Beyond. This is from the Yorktown base. I mean, this is probably not going to happen in 15 years from now, but it's just to give a rough idea of, we're going to have flying cars, have people dressed up in different ways than we've ever seen before. And it's going to be really, I think, a mix of the most futuristic technology that can be deployed with old buildings and old technology. So it's like San Francisco is now, where it's a complete cultural blend, complete blend of technologies. And honestly, I think it's really exciting that the fact that AI is going to allow humans to focus fully on design, fully on collaboration. The amount of stuff that we're going to be able to build is inspiring, and I'm really excited for the future. We're going to have breakthroughs in biomedical advancements, breakthroughs in healthcare research. It's just the beginning. 2026 is the beginning of the future, and I think that even more with where AI is right now, the fact that 24/7 we could talk to an AI, a hyper intelligent AI that knows everything, that can answer almost any question. If that's not living in the future, I don't know what is. And I think that we already live in the future. And so, yeah, this is just the beginning. And I'm glad I made this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.